On my share the
All
link.
right, here we are. I think we're live now. What should we say? Good afternoon, world. Good evening, good morning, good whatever, wherever you are. It's, of course, Bantu TV, right here from our American and Canadian studios. My name is Kalinda Shichinda. I am broadcasting right here in the Hoosier state of Indiana, and the city is, of course, Indianapolis. Virtual, you want
Yes.
to come in and do the needful before we do what we need to do. Anyway, let me just say,
Mm.
what one man, what one man.
What? Yeah, the Jamaica is still there. The Jamaican in you is still there. It's still.
Twalisambirira kai twalisambira bujame.
Hey,
What one
one
man.
woman. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
beautiful. Yeah. So yeah, this is Chanda Chulufia broadcasting live from Ontario, Canada. We welcome you guys wherever you are in the world, in the globe, morning, evening, depending on where you are. And thank you for joining us. We're going to discuss a lot of trending topics that have happened during the course of the week, and it's hot. There's a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about. Everybody should join in. Share this video, and invite your friends. And if you want to join in, follow the link. And if you want to comment, you can just post your comment, and Bakalinda will highlight it, and you'll be able to participate in that way. Thank you very much. And yeah, guys, let's have a good show.
Great, wonderful. And Lady Sarah, I know she's hot today. She's hot, hot, hot. She's right here. Lady Sarah, please introduce yourself.
My name is Sarah. I go by Lady Sarah. My full name is Sarah Kafwanda, and I'm here in the United States of America in Seattle. And we are talking issues concerning our country and the world. Thank you.
Right on, right on. And let me just start by saying a thousand apologies. We missed last week's podcast because of circumstances unforeseen. But we are back and better this week, I think, all rested up and ready to go. We have a magnitude of topics and discussions to go, and especially on this special day where I expect to have special interviews, starting with the our 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 member of parliament
Mm,
from who represent my mother's village, Lugualo,
mhm.
Honorable Joseph Sanjay. And then we also have a local farmer because we are highlighting today. Actually, we're going to highlight specifically. We want to show you what's going on with the drought situation in Zambia. So we have a special report. We do have a local farmer who is going to talk about his experiences during this farming season. And then to cap it off, we also going to have a special interview with a young man coming from my father's village, Shikatende, to highlight youth empowerment. So he and his friends actually opened up the first ever modern, bakery in Shibuyunji. So we'll be talking to that young man. And I think before all these people come in, shall we go ahead with the first topic of the day that everybody, I'm sure by Ready Sarah, is just red. I can feel her lips itching to talk about this issue. And the issue is on why not Osita? We had Archbishop. Actually, this is a former Catholic Archbishop. Um, uh, and I can't, for the life of me, say his first name, but I'll
Yeah, the
just
first
go
name is
ahead
tricky.
and say Telespo, something like Telespo
Mhm.
Pundu, who together with basically the best way to describe that man, Mr. Brevna Chingala, he's a PF supporter,
Mhm.
strategist, you name it, he does it all.
Mhm.
Were the architects of this letter that went to the American embassy, requesting that the embassy bars members of the new Dawn government, including the president, for according to them, as the architects of the shrinking democratic space in Zambia.
Mhm.
Basically, that's the way I understood that letter. I could be wrong, but Chilufia Navasera Malak Tako, correct there, but that's the way I understood. So they are claiming Zambia is no longer a democratic space because of the activities of the New Dawn government. And so they wanted the American ambassador or the American government is to say to ban the government leaders from traveling because of that. And then we also saw during the same space, we saw one of the most respected former top civil servant in Leslie Bula coming out on board and just, I don't even know what to say. They just expose the two as not, towing the non-governmental civil organizations' principles and objectives, and accusing them of, furthering the goals of the new UCA alliance, which is being headed by, of course, the former president, Edgar Chavalungo. So there's a lot to talk about there. So let's
Mhm.
start because we have right now the only gentleman on this space. We'll give him the floor to start before we go Kuribasera. Come
I
on,
thought you're supposed
Macho.
to be ladies first.
Yeah, I know. Some of us, we're feminists, but we recognize that so far we only have
Uh,
the only man on the
uh-huh.
panel. So why not
Well,
start with you before we go to Lady Sarah? Why not?
no problem. You brought out a very important a burning issue that has been on people's mind for the last few days in Zambia. The letter that they sent to the U.S. embassy to sanction the top leadership of the UPN, including the president, you know, to sanction their finances. Actually, they want them to sanction their finances, which I've never heard of in, I don't know, in the history of politics or in the world. Zambia is a sovereign country, and there's no way the US can have that kind of power to come and sanction President Hakainde Hichilema's uh, finances and everything. He got his money through his own personal businesses. He didn't get his money through working as a government worker, or if he was a president before, maybe it would have made sense. But if somebody you've gained and your wealth and made your money through your own
Mm-hmm.
business, there's no way an outside country,
Mm-hmm.
sovereignty can come and say you will sanction your money, you won't be able to do ABCD. So, in a nutshell, that letter is something that's really questionable because
Mm-hmm.
the other members, like Leslie Mbula, they came up and said, no, 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 no. You guys, this letter, we don't know nothing about this letter. Nobody was consulted about this.
Mm-hmm.
Mama. Nobody was consulted in the team. Mama.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when it comes to making certain decisions in organizations, it should be a solid collective agreement. You can't
Right,
just
right,
one
right,
person
right.
cannot
Yeah.
just wake up and make a decision and say, oh, this is the decision we're standing as an organization. No, that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way it works. I mean, you don't have to have a degree or PhD to know that. You know, you know,
Mhm.
everybody needs to come together. So that's why Leslie Mbula, and Leslie Mbula is somebody who's well respected. He served the government in the country well and diligently. So if he comes up and say this is not Osida's decision, then it's not. So my father, let's just say Mpundu, the first name is so hard to pronounce. I don't know if it's a Greek name. It's really something that people should start thinking to say what was his motive behind that letter? Who was the hand behind that letter? Was it him or was he sent? How much money, how many silvers of coins was he given to betray his own country? Because that's a betrayal. There's no way you can say something like that. Look at in the past, in the PF regime, people were being shot, killed, murdered. Okay, there were worse things that were happening. In fact, people now are even free and they're happy. And he never took those kind of extremes. He never went to that extreme to write such a letter. Why didn't he, come out like that? Just coming on the, yes, he was against Balungu talking and saying these things, but he was just talking. He never came to this kind of extreme when worse things were happening in this country. Right now, why would people start, trying to alarm the nation? What's wrong right now? Meal prices, yes. There are certain factors that we cannot control. Yeah? Fuel prices, yes. There are certain factors we cannot control. It's not the president that's doing this. Why would you want to blame the president on these issues? So that's why I'm gonna say for now. Let everybody else come in and digest this issue. But Sarah, I think you can come in. Oh, we got somebody. If you want to introduce our guest.
I thought we should. Uh, um, uh, this is Esther Talako. Welcome to the podcast. Could you just give us your background a little bit, who you are, and where you're joining us from, please? And if you can show us your visual, that's even better. Come in and chime in, Esther.
Thank you so much, madam. I'm listening from Shibuyunji.
Oh, my people are in the building. She contended in the building. That's what I'm talking about. All right, then. I just put, smiles on my face. Well, we are glad you're joining us, and I hope you stay for the rest of the program today. And right, ladies, I want to come in and chime in on the Osita, expose, so to speak.
Yeah, like following what Rachand has just said. Sorry.
Mhm.
I sometimes I wonder, the motives behind whatever somebody is thinking of. Like what they just said about that later, where people should come, the Americans should come and search, Mr. Hakainde's finances, whatever. It's just, I don't know. It's evil. That's what I can call it. It's very evil. Why are they not talking? That time when Lungu was the president, so many things happened, like Chanda said. So many things happened. They never wrote to anywhere to say, come and search us, come and do ABCD. Now, because Mr. Hakainde Hichilema is the president of Zambia, people are agitated. People are like, oh, me, I always say this. In Zambia, Vakalinda, Vachanda, in Zambia, mukakwatepo fe fuma, you are a witch. Mukachitepo fe whatever, you are what? People will start hunting you. People even kill innocent people. Remember that guy who was killed in, is it Nakonde? He was killed because he had shops and whatever happened at Ewaipias. That man was killed. They never took him to court to say he was killed. Mob justice was done. This is what they are doing. That's why I'm saying regrouping of PF coming closer to UPND. They want to kill HH. They are not happy. In Zambia, we flourish on somebody who is poor to lead us so that Aleiva. Because I've heard in the circles of Zambians saying that ba HH bali wina kale nishi bali file okuba president. Ba HH bali wina kale nishi bali the president. We want a poor person to be your president so that he can steal. I don't know the type of thinking the Zambians we have. So Alampundu, but they come at Takopanshi and think properly. You cannot be disgracing the country like this. Sorry to use that word. But you should sit down, and think properly, because it's very, very annoying and it's evil. That's what I can say for now. Thank you.
Agreed. But Esther, you got something to say about this?
Yeah, I think like she has mentioned already, like we Zambians, we just miss it. I think somewhere. We always want to put a blame on someone, even where we know what is causing like such a thing to happen, but we want to put a blame on someone. Once we learn like to do things like when on our own, we stand to do our things, I think we will learn not to start blaming others and start bringing like ideas which are not helping Zambians. We always want to think on our personal programs and personal interest in something. So I think, like she mentioned, once we just change that mind, I think it will develop. We'll stop pointing fingers on, no, this one has done this one has done this. Yeah.
Well, very, what can we say there? Very, very, uplifting.
Well said.
Well said. Well put. Submissions there by my sister, Esther. So how about I bring in a new entrant who I know so well, but we are not going to. We're not going to divulge our personal relations. Oh, you know what? I know what I did. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna let me. How about that? Do I sound better? Okay. So I have to remove. I'm doing some stuff in the background. So and forgive me about truth here. I had gone over to see the game between Liverpool and Manchester United. Yeah, before I came on here, I was walking into the house literally 4 minutes before broadcast time.
Oh, okay.
I always live on the edge. But hey, let me bring in here somebody I know very well. Let her introduce herself. Malala Simmons. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, darling. Thank you, everyone else. Actually, I'm Malala Munsanje Simmons. I live in South Carolina. Of course, I was born and raised in Zambia, but I've been here forever. I came to this country here in 1997, but I'm still yes.
That is
Hey, I'm coming to Zambia next month. I'll be coming to Zambia next month. Yes. Can't wait to meet some of you people there. More especially the Man United. I'm Man U for life.
Oh yeah, no.
Too early to
talk about the soccer runs right now.
Manchester United.
Too early.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the topic at hand. We're talking Osita.
To join briefly, there's something going on. I'll be back in a few.
All right, no problem.
Thank you kindly. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's go back to the Osita discussion then. That letter. And my sister here, Esther, really putting some, including my other sister, Lady Sarah, and you,
Mhm.
Mr. Tilapia, not to forget, you really put some valid points into Father Mpundu's, dealings within the PF, and of course, um, being exposed by for me, really, when I look at Leslie Bola, I mean, if I'm telling or I'm trying to encourage my son to enter the civil service,
Mm,
that's who I would be calling to
mm,
try to impart some knowledge, because I believe
mm,
he's a man of his words, he's a
mm,
man of faith, he's
mm,
a man of principle, he's a
mm,
man of integrity, and really, for him
yeah,
to come out, I mean, that's just a man who really doesn't really talk politics most of the time,
wonderful.
because
Mm,
he
great idea.
talks through supporting, because most of us, I mean, at least when I was, because I was raised by two civil servants. So
Mm,
every time I asked my two, parents whose party they supported, I never knew. They always said, we support the party of the day,
mm,
a civil servant. So that's who, when I look at civil, Leslie Bola, that's a man of integrity.
mm,
And for him to come out and just to expose Father Pundu, I think that was a sad day,
oh yeah.
because we have a Catholic. You know how we view Catholic, the Catholic Church. I mean, for me, I won't lie. I went to a Catholic school. Okay,
Very good.
so maybe I know a little bit more about
Mm,
the Catholic more than
mm,
owners have been out there, the
mm,
dealings and the ins and outs. So,
mhm,
I just think that, I mean, most people hold Catholic bishops in honor, in awe,
mm,
or they give them all this respect. And now we have a father being caught
mm,
in a space between a hard rock and everything else, to
mm,
try to steer the political dispensation towards an alliance that's almost like Mao Zedong always says, brought dead on arrival.
yeah, yeah. You see, this is more like a strategy. You see, the reason that he wrote that letter, we all know that there's an invisible hand
Tell
behind that
us.
letter. Okay, this is my
Hmm.
analysis. So, just my own analysis, just to look at everything. The elections are coming up soon, and if you what's this? You sanction the key players in the UPND. Okay, you sanction their finances. Then what are you doing? You're disabling them. So that these are political strategies. This is not something to do with there's violence in the country. There's no violence in the country. There's no political dispensation. I mean, there is political dispensation. So you have to think real hard and deep and say, look, why would he wake up in the morning to write a letter like that at the time when the things people we're trying to fix things. The government is trying to fix that we got drought, we got all these things. Instead of him organizing his fellow, pastors and preachers and church members or whatever, and pray to help him so that the Zambian people can benefit. If this is not about the president, this is not about HH. Why are they trying to make it personal? Because it sounds like it's more personal. You see what I'm saying? It sounds like it's a personal attack. Okay? But the president is working for the country and is working for the whole lot. Zambians. Okay? If the Zambian people don't want him, we've got proper channels to, deal with these issues. Not these desperate measures that they're trying to do. It's more like we're in a war. Kulinkondo Muzambia. What if Kulinkondo time Yavena Lungu? That was some sort of a war. Like that. Why didn't they come out like that? That's my big question. Chinchi vamupatira HH.
Can I come in? Can I answer you, Bachanda? These people like Wenampundu, those fathers, balila muri corruption. And HH is not part of that. HH is a straight man. HH doesn't like if mafisakanwa, taking to my envelopes, kuli ba father mpundu, ba kashan tereshanyuko, that name, tere something, So that's why, like you have said, that Nishba Mpatila, I've already said it. Kuzambia, you are an enemy to anybody, even in Moose Street. Even in Moose Street. I can give you an example of myself. In Yembe Crescent, Ndola there, I was one of the first black female. Okay, we are all blacks in Zambia, but I was the first female in that place. And I'm a teacher. My husband bought me a car. People became enemies just because I'm driving a Corolla. You know what I mean? A young lady, a teacher, kalensha. I became something like people are even, thinking of what are they doing? You understand what I'm saying? So, HH, because he's comfortable, HH has got his own millions, he's got his own money, and he just came to become president because he feels he's Zambian enough to make Zambia great. And every Zambian, whether you are poor or you are rich, you can be a president of the country. So these people, and now I'm not going to say that when I say this, I'm being tribal, but it is Palwe, Libadi land of my tribe, HH, not Tongas, but Basa Sangati. The love of the people of Zambia gave Mr. Hakainde Hichilema the mandate to be the president of the country. Their ego is bruised. Now, to make that ego to come where they want it to be, ukunombo kusabaila, ukulalo tafifish to ala chita. Ngabadi kwa to wanga, I think no wanga wa lego kuumba kuzambi. Ngabadi mulowa HH. Wadi lego kuumba.
Alachachine mulelanda. Alachachine. Because if you make a vamu pata sana. That's what I was saying. Sounds like it's personal. It's a personal, agenda. This is not about the Zambia. This is not about Zambia. If you're I don't think. I mean, really, I feel like if I was an archbishop, I think I'll be thinking way much bigger than a letter to try to stop somebody because you don't like him because of his tribe. We got bigger issues at hand. Could it drought? We got a lot of things that are happening that are challenging. We got, kids being abused. Tamulelanda kopama issues ayafi. We got street kids. Tamulanda po. Can you tell us what you have done as an archbishop to say, well, I've helped this, I've done this, I've helped stop kids from being in the streets, we've built a shelter. Instead of him talking to the president to say, I want to build a shelter so that we take those kids from bridges. We find them a nice place to live, and we'll start teaching them the word of God and teach them how to become better Zambians and citizens. That's what I would. I mean, that's what I would be doing. Not Iffy.
All right. Some valid discourses there. By co-host, never lady Sarah. Let me ask Esther, my sister. You're on the ground.
Yeah. Yes, I
You're on
wanted
the
to.
ground.
I
Go
wanted
ahead.
to add on. Yes, I wanted to add on what he's saying. In Zambia, this is the reason why you find that these home shops, they are Rwandanese this time in Zambia. You find that they start with a small shop, and you find that they are multiplying their shops because they don't have jealous on one another. Now the problem with us Zambians, we don't want to see someone developing. Once you see someone developing, then you feel jealous. And this is what is happening now. If at all we can just come together, work together, things would have moved instead of just pointing fingers. No, HH has done this. No, this has done what. If
Mhm.
at all, you look at what can I do? What am I able to start a garden or something so that this empowerment money they are pumping in, I can manage to do this. We are not thinking about that. We are just looking at the bad part of someone, and that's why we are
Mhm.
going wrong. Once we just learn, to work hard. So people are using, other people, like to mention on the letter that who is this one wrote. Automatically,
Archbishop
as
Mpondo.
we mentioned, yes, we know there's someone, there are some people behind that. You can't just wake up and do that. Where on earth? There's something behind that. Hmm?
Mhm.
So in Zambia, we learn to blame others. Meanwhile, those people that we are blaming, they have money. If for sure we bring in someone who doesn't have money, who just aim to steal and leave the chair. Mm.
That's
So in Zambia,
absolutely
this
right.
thing
And
is
I mean,
wrong.
we are coming from an era where we had somebody who, I mean, now these are facts. So, by PF, don't come after me. I'm just telling you. Read. These are facts. So we're coming from an era where Edgar Chavalungu only had one quarter in his bank account when he came through the back door, of course, as Zambia's president. And within a year, the man was worth 21 million kwacha. And guess what we did as Zambia? We sanitized him, we cleaned that up, and said, well, yes, it's possible. After all, he's a president. At that time, Zambian's president salary was about 400,000 kwacha. Now, those are facts. So how did he accumulate 21 million in less than a year? Nobody knows.
Exactly,
And
Vakanda. Exactly. Where was Impundu?
yeah,
Where was Teleshan Impundu? Where was he? Why didn't he write
exactly.
to the American embassy to say, come and sanction Ilungu? Where was he?
Hmm.
I wish if he was listening so that he can give us a proper answer.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
we need
I'm
to.
sure he's listening.
No, he's listening because we need to know,
Mhm.
where he was when Edgar Lungu swindled that widow out of thousands
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
when he was a lawyer.
Yes.
Where
Kakutanga
was
bali
he?
mulipira nokumulipira ula
Yeah,
widow.
2 years.
I hope
Yeah.
So
Mr.
you can
Lungu has
imagine,
paid back that widow, his
even
fees.
the Chimba Kambwili was saying that yero ledi kalungu twadamu kumenya alensha kamotoka
Hey,
kalefunye chushi kwati chiviri. Like yeah, the guy was driving
hey,
at avena tasila nga mwapa lore chavere fwala vyo tuma dress to kwa twa clean.
Uh-huh.
exactly. So, where was Vampundu?
Eh?
Vampundu, read the Bible. Vampundu should continue reading the Bible, not pera Eucharist, never pera muchechi. He should not be
Exactly, my
indulging himself in
sister.
corrupt practices.
Mm.
Vampundu. He should sit down, nakakula no kukula. Maybe he's lacking something.
This
Mm.
is so wonderful.
Ati ni pompwe.
Yeah.
Mm. Mama,
I mean, these are the questions I'm asking.
what we have to look at is this.
Where was
Mm.
Brebna Chengala
Yeah.
and the Archbishop? Where was
Mm.
he when Zambians were sleeping with whistles in their mouth because they are scared of people coming into their homes to gas them? Where was he then?
Mm.
Yes.
Mm.
Okay, where
Yeah.
was Edgar I mean, Pundu? Where was he when people were dying on the streets of Lusaka and everywhere in Zambia because they were, for their right to protest? Where was he
Mm.
then?
Mm.
Exactly. And where
Huh?
was Vampundu when Mr. Hakainde Hichilema was almost killed at a
Mm.
broadcast? Where was Vampundu? I never heard Vampundu say anything. Where was he?
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So people
Just because
people
he
were
takes
sleeping
place.
and they are waking up now.
Mhm.
You can imagine. Ah,
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you know,
And where was Vampundu when the Concord, did not listen to the discourse on the 2016 election result? Where was he?
Exactly. And where was Vampundu when Lawrence Banda was killed? And that
mm,
woman, he said, I saw what she stole the handbag and whatever. Where was
mm,
Vampundu?
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all these are valid questions.
you know,
Where
and
was Vampundu? Vampundu, if you're listening in, please, we are still asking some more questions.
mm,
Where were you when police at Uza
mm,
fired tear gas and live
mm,
bullets
yes.
at those lifeless
mm.
students for
Yes.
protesting for their meal allowance? And that
Mm,
resulted in the killing or the dying of that young woman.
Yeah.
Where
mm.
was he?
Where was he? I never saw him.
Yes. And and
I
where was
never saw him.
Vampundu? Bachanda, where was
Mm,
Vampundu? When
mm,
the police went to Mr. Hakainde's home, vagera
mm.
na mapoto ya Mrs.
Yes.
Hakainde's
Yeah,
home.
okay.
Imagine,
Yes.
Where was
imagine.
Huh?
Vampundu?
Vaya namnanikane mu bedroom batampa nokusecha balenusha namananikane underwears of mama bananikane bamayo
Mamujinja.
Right.
Imagine,
Yes.
and you
they
can
did
imagine,
bad
Bachanda,
things, and the person
maybe,
who defecated there is well known.
yeah, and you can imagine, maybe since they had more powers, maybe they were not even trained polices. Maybe they were even just cadres who went there.
Yes,
Where was
most of them.
he since
Because
he was not even saying anything? Hmm?
And
So he's supposed to
the
answer all
biggest
these
question,
questions.
the other biggest question is, where was Mr. Is it my father or whatever? Watelepundu. Where was he when Mr. Hakainde Ichilema was given a charge as treason for 127 days in prison? Where was
Exactly.
he?
Kumukobeko. I don't think he even traveled to go and see him. I don't think so.
Imagine.
He didn't even see, being an archbishop. You should be able to
He's
say, you
an
know what?
evil man.
Let's go and see this person. Change church tika. He didn't even say, okay, let me go and see maybe Balungu to ask and say, what's going on here, Mammon? Because you're supposed to be offering, you're supposed to be like a counselor. If you never got to, you can't the nation or the country. Want to, but they come for you for advice. People
What
should
I
come to you
what I
for.
can say now is that Vampundu is broke. Nabamba kubapera
Exactly.
otumbira kuli bawuka bashani ati tankwa kugani
Mhm.
ati nefi. Chapwa.
Mm,
Now they are just using strategies so that they
mm,
can, at least they can behead that. Oh, they are there.
mm, mm. Yeah,
Oh, great. All right, then. Can you all hear me?
yeah, we can hear you. You're
All
Yes,
right,
going in and out.
great,
yes.
great. You see, I'm in and out because there's a few things that I'm doing here for the podcast.
No, okay. Mm,
All right, now I'm back, and with me coming back here, I see we are joined by this young man here. Let me highlight him. Cleopas Tonga. I hope I got that right because I butcher people's names, so I apologize. This is a young man I was talking about earlier that we
mm,
hope we'll have a chat with
mhm,
on his the first modern bakery
mm,
in Shibuyunchi. So for all of you who don't know Shibuyunchi, yeah, I know
mm,
you've heard me say
yeah.
Shikatende.
Mm,
Okay,
mm,
so this is one of the young men,
mm,
representing our district there with that modern bit, which I'm so proud of.
mm,
That my aunt can buy bread from my village. Uh,
mm,
you know, uh, very. It's a very. I mean, for some, it doesn't seem like a big fit, but if you're coming from that area, it's a big fit. It's a treat. So, Cleopas, welcome to Bantu TV. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Clopas?
Are you muted? Unmute yourself.
Can you unmute yourself, please? Clopas, we see you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to join you.
Oh, great,
You're
great,
welcome.
great, great.
You're welcome.
That's what I want to hear
Nice
here.
to
So,
meet
so welcome. So, give us
you.
a little background about yourself.
Um,
Who are you, young man?
okay, let me try to do the necessary.
Oh, looks like
What, we lost him again?
yeah, internet problems.
Oh,
Zambia.
Zambia. It's always like this, isn't it? Okay. Well, hopefully he will be back to tell us about his project. So let's talk some more. Where were we? We were talking about Osita, weren't we?
Oh yeah.
All right. So I think unless there's some more people that want to talk about this, please come on in and then we move on to the next topic. And I think I have somebody in the background who,
Put everybody in. People want to join.
yeah, I have their all in here. But okay, let's bring back Cleopas. He's back here. Hey, Cleopas, can you hear us?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So the question was,
Yes, I can
who
hear
are
you.
you? Oh, great. So let's proceed. The question is, who is Cleopas? Did we lose him again?
Okay.
Just introduce yourself, buddy, and tell us your business, what you do.
Okay.
You can speak any
Cleopas
language,
is
whatever you're
a young
comfortable. You
man
can
who
speak
grew up
Nyanja.
from
Yeah,
village,
whatever language.
particularly Zambia.
I just said I'm wabo
That's
turaha.
where I did my
Why?
primary
Raha, I just
education.
said so.
After that,
Just took us.
I went to Chilanga, so I did my secondary. Chilanga, I did my secondary, and then I went in Kitwe. I did my diploma in teaching. After that, after I finished, that was 2020. I've been hustling around, arranging things, and like so. Yeah, so that's a brief background.
Good, good.
Great.
So you're a teacher?
Okay.
Oh, great. Nice to know. So tell me,
No,
I mean,
no,
I just read about your project, the Decker. How did
okay, I'm
this
very
project come into being?
Oh,
All right.
internet
Okay.
issues.
I guess we'll come back to him. But I think we have a new entrant here, James Mambwe. Welcome to the podcast. Could you identify yourself, where you're joining us from? And if we can see a visual, that's even better. James?
Unmute yourself, but James.
Oh, he's muted, is he? All right. Can you hear us, Mr. James? Unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself, but James. If you want to talk, I don't know. Maybe you're talking in the background, but obviously maybe you're muted. So
Yeah,
just
we
pick
can't
your
hear
phone.
you.
You know.
All right, then. Shall we move on?
Of course. Let's move on.
All right. Let's move on to the next topic. Or did somebody want to say something? I lost it. Was somebody going to say a final thought there before we move? Okay, no. All right, let's move on. Rachanda, can you introduce the next topic,
Oh,
which is my favorite? Which is my favorite.
wait.
I need to play some music right now. Play Shani Ngoma. Sausage, because if I sing this one, sausage, Rambi Munen, Rambi Chakut. I love that. Yeah, 'cause we can be that dramatic sometimes. We tried already, Sarah. We tried. Yeah, I'll be more than. All right, Clopas is back. So about Clopas, we were saying, can you just tell us what through? How did your baker business come into being? Unmute yourself, please. Clopas. Okay. All right. So maybe we do something else. I think somebody else is coming. Oh, you know what? My Kavansa team is trying to join us from YouTube, but I don't know whatever the problem is. It's not coming on. But who is it? Cleopas, can you unmute yourself, please? And let's get into the program.
You're muted, buddy. We can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear us now? Let me try to unmute it from here. Can you hear us now? Cleopas? Okay. Somebody needs to write to Zictor. I think the network in my district is not working too well. Why are my people not hearing me or not talking back? All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the most exciting piece of the news that we heard from Zambia. I mean, for me, it's sad because this is somebody I work with very closely with. Early on in my career as a reporter, he was one of the most what should I say? He was the most humble human being you've ever met.
Oh,
Very
yeah?
kind, very what's the other word should I use for him? He was an honest man. Okay,
Okay.
let's just put it there. And this man is no other than Amos Chanda,
Mm, mm, mm.
who this past week was sentenced to 7 months together with his wife and his sister-in-law for being abusive and disrespectful towards debt officials that had gone over to his home in 2021 to search, his house for evidence. So, to those who have been living in a cocoon, let me just put this down for you. Okay. So, back in 2021, um, Amos Chanda
Mhm.
was arrested by the Drug Enforcement Commission, for a battery of or an array of I'm sorry. Just saying that it gives me chills. All right. Anyway, so let's just put it. The deck were following the evidence for all the deals that he made allegedly worth millions. And when they went to search his home, apparently his wife and his sister-in-law just became enraged, belittling, investigators there, telling them, well, they couldn't enter a certain room because it hosted, now in the Zambian language, lingo, it's called Lilonga. But I think for me, I don't believe it's those things.
Jesus Christ.
So anyway, so that's where the story comes or emanates from. So here we are, 3 years down the road, the deck, proved in the courts of law beyond reasonable doubt that these people are, just outright disrespectful, rude, and very abusive to investigators, and so the judge had no recourse but to send them to eat beans in jail for 7 months, which to me is really that was a slap on the thing. But maybe before we go there, we have our special guest here. One of our special focus today is on the drought and the implications and what's happening on the ground. So we have a local farmer here, Chinchima Kamase, who came on here to talk to us about what really is obtaining on the ground. So, Kavan Tintima, I am so grateful that you are able to join us. I believe you are in Osaka. I could be wrong, but you can correct. So, maybe to our viewers, we don't know, just give us a little background about yourself before we move on to our drought focus.
Yeah, so good evening, everybody, and apologies for joining a little bit late.
It's
We have load
okay.
shedding down here, so
Oh,
Well, I understand.
so
We
yeah, so it
understand.
takes a bit of time for you to get back
Hmm.
and all that. Yeah. So my name is Robert Mtitima. I'm a subsistent farmer who had an opportunity to live life beyond being a subsistent farmer, but
Hmm.
that is still my passion, and that is still something that we do to supplement our survival and life. I live in Chongwe currently, but I have two homes. So my other home is in Katuba, in Kabire ward of Katuba constituency in Chiwombo district.
mm,
And that's where I do most of my subsistence agriculture activities. And yeah, I spend 50% of my life there and 50% of my life on this other side of town, of the country.
Oh,
So
great.
yeah, that's a bit about me. Thank
mm,
you.
that's good.
All right.
Mm, thank
Great.
you.
So,
Thank you for doing
the whole idea of bringing you here, Mr. Titima, was for
it.
us to, because I mean, I follow you on Facebook, so I see you're posting from time to time, on your
Yeah.
farming, activities there.
Mhm.
So, I want you to paint us a picture, a human picture of what really is happening with this drought in Zambia, from your personal, experiences. So
Yeah.
I'm just giving
So
you
I
the
think
leeway to go there. So
to go
maybe
all the
I'll
way.
ask people out here can understand what's going on down there.
Yeah. So I think let me start from where it all started from. Personally, I
Mm-hmm.
have been involved in subsistence farming, I think, from time immemorial, because when my father retired back in 1991, I think I was only like a few years old, maybe 7 years old. So we
Mm-hmm.
went and settled on the farm. And so those years living on the farm, one thing I learned was that you don't need to buy milli meal. You can actually grow your own maize and grow
Mm-hmm.
your own little produce to supplement whatever you are getting from your job or whatever you're doing to supplement that. So I've been involved in subsistence farming from as far back as when I was introduced to it by my father when he retired in the early 90s. And when I had my own small income in, after uni, in the
Mm-hmm.
2000s, and I started doing subsistence farming. So I'm one of those few people that have never bought mini meal from ShopRite or any of these online or any of these um, chain stores and all that, because I grow my own mini
Wow.
meal. And then from that, I was able to buy a small hammer mill. So I actually produced my own mini meal. So from growing it in the
Oh,
field
that's great.
to producing my own mini meal. So that's been my life, and the rest of my family have been doing that for all 4 years now. So what happened was, the community that I come from is a typical rural community. I think for those that
Mm-hmm.
have been in Zambia and you're driving along Mumbwa Road going to Western Province, when you leave Lusaka, there's a place called Lusaka West Mwembeshi area, and around
Mm-hmm.
Mwembeshi, there's a place called Tumbeko, just before you reach Nangoma in Mumbwa. So that's where I have been living. I've spent almost my whole life there, and also I do the bit of my farming there. So
Mm-hmm.
most of the communities around there, initially they were like retirees. Most of the people that retired from Zambia Railways and all that wanted to engage in subsistence farming, most of them were relocated there. So they're like small resettlement schemes made up
Mm-hmm.
of subsistence farmers. So that's how the kind of community where I grew up as well. So
Okay.
the past years, it's like hand to mouth. Like you produce maybe 20 bags of maize to sustain
Mm-hmm.
you until the next harvest season. And
Okay.
when the PC program was introduced, the Fertilizer Input Support Program, we
Mm-hmm.
have a number of senior citizens, retirees, and because I come from a community where most of the people are retirees, of which my
Mm-hmm.
own parents are also retirees, those were some
Mm-hmm.
of the people that were also included on the FISI program.
Mm-hmm.
So for years now, that community, most of the people were getting support from the FISI program. And so
Mm-hmm.
one of the mistakes that we made, or my community made, was to become over reliant on the fertilizer support, fertilizer input support program. And
Okay.
so the past 2 years, when the new government, our government, the government that I support, the UPND government
Mm-hmm.
came in power,
Oh, we
one
love
of
it. We love it. We were scared for
yeah,
a moment there, but we love it.
yeah. So one of
Uh,
the things that we advocated for, I was one of the people that were in the forefront of saying, I think we need to reform the FISI program and we need to have like something that gives the subsistence farmers a comprehensive package that will help them to be more dependent and more
mm-hmm.
profitable with whatever little that they produce. So
Mm-hmm.
when the government came in power, the first thing they did was beyond trying to reform and bring in legit suppliers. By the way, most of the people that were supplying fertilizer under the fertilizer input support program were
Mm-hmm.
like, basket, briefcase suppliers under the
Mm-hmm.
previous government that were brought on board. So I have a brother who I know can travel to UAE or another country where they can get a few bags of fertilizer. Then I give
Mm-hmm.
them a contract to be a subcontractor to the main supplier to the government.
Oh
So
my
most
goodness.
of the people that were benefiting from that FISI program are people that it was unsustainable. So one guy
Mm-hmm.
comes on board this year, they supply you 30, 40 bags. The next year they are not doing that and that. So when this new government came on board, they said we want to take agriculture seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things we are going to do is to reform the fertilizer support program.
Mm-hmm.
So they literally wanted to overhaul the whole program,
Mm-hmm.
starting from the beneficiaries, the people involved in the supply chain, from the point where the fertilizer has gotten to the point where it reaches the
Mm-hmm.
subsistence farmer.
Mm-hmm.
One of the mistakes that was made is that this change was done without informing the subsistence farmers. So we
Oh,
had people
okay.
in my community in Stumbeko that were heavily dependent on FISIP. So when the farming season comes, all they said was that Zalipira 450, we're going to pay 450, and then we'll get 8 bags or 4 bags. But when the
Mm-hmm.
reform program came in, those people were removed from the program because they had been on that program way longer than it was supposed to be.
Okay.
So they were removed from the program, and then it was so instant that without you know, much notice, they were told, oh, you guys have been removed. We now want new people because you have benefited enough from this program. So we are now changing. We are changing the list, the beneficiaries, everything. So
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
happened was from 2 years ago, the production of maize at that subsistence level reduced because
Okay.
majority of the citizens had depended on the FISI program.
Mm-hmm.
So even as late as last year, as
Mm-hmm.
early as March this year, even before we
Mm-hmm.
knew that there was going to be a drought,
A drought. Mm-hmm.
there was already a deficit of food in the homes around the community that I grew up in. So
Okay.
people were already going through a tough time. People did not have enough maize stocks. They were already buying milli meal, just like people who live in the CBD or in Lusaka
Mm-hmm.
who buy milli meal every day because they did not have enough maize supplies because they were cut off from the list.
Okay.
So as far back as July, August, and September, people were already coming to, I know, because we may have a bit more food than everyone. We already had people that would come at 0.5 hours at home to ask just for a small bowl of the staple food for them to go and cook and that. So the hope was that by April, March this year, people would have harvested their little maize that they planted. And
Now,
by then,
before you go ahead, Vanan, I want to just bring you back a little bit. There's a point you said. Yeah, the point you said that there was a list of people who are benefiting for years. Okay,
exactly.
And then they were removed. So now, okay, that was maybe an abrupt move, but don't you think that's something that we start looking at really? Because if you've been benefiting for 10 years and you have not moved on to become a real, organized farmer, you start sustaining yourself. Those are the issues I think we need to start looking at, because there's no way somebody can just be there's no improvement. You're just on the same level for the last 10 years. I think we need to start thinking about that. I think that's where the government and the president was thinking. It was like, look, we cannot have the same people over and over and over, and they're not improving. How are we going to grow as farmers? How are we going to improve the agriculture sector? How are we going to grow maize if we're just on the same level?
So that's
maybe before Mr. Tintima comes in. Not you here.
Yeah.
I think you've forgotten your roots. What about you know about Zambians? Do you know Zambians very well? Why did you show up in a winner? When it comes to government things.
Yeah.
And my people in Shikaten, they will be saying, Shakafumendeshi. Shakafumendeshi. Isn't that true, Mr. Titima? Now you can answer that question.
Yeah. So that's the weakness of the FISIP program. There was no end game to it. So this was supposed to be, I am a development practitioner and I've done a bit of project management. And if you don't have an end game to a project, it's actually going to fail. And FISIP, one of the reasons right now has not made the desired, gotten the desired outcome from it is because we did not have a phase out plan. We did not prepare the small farmers that have been receiving the fertilizer for years and told them that by year 2, we expect you to be able to produce this much. By year 3, we expect you to be able to produce this much and buy this amount of fertilizer on your own. And by year 4, we expect you to be able to buy those 20 bags or 10 bags of fertilizer on your own from the empowerment that we supported. And it's not only the FISIP program. This has been the case. A lot of NGOs have come in Zambia and started what they are calling community empowerment projects. They give goats, they give seeds, they do all this. But then they don't prep the farmers enough for them to be able to understand that I have a target that by the end of 2 years, I should be able to produce enough from my 1 hectare or my 1 acre to be able to supplement or to be able to purchase my own fertilizer. And this was a weakness that even President Chilema said, there's no way you can forever and ever continue supporting farmers. So the missing link is our agricultural extension support program, which is not comprehensive enough to be able to provide that much needed skill or knowledge to the farmer, so that a farmer can wake up, before they go to their field, they'll spend maybe the whole of October waiting for the rain season, being taught how to increase their yield. The president just last week told us, I don't want to see a farmer who is producing less than this number of bags from a 1 hectare. And that is what is supposed to be. But that message was not communicated to small subsistence farmers like me and the people in my community. For us, all we knew is that Kafurumende, it ought to fertilize a market or Satrako Pabo, so on, Twawapa 400 kwacha watoto 8 bags, and we are going to grow another next season. So the missing link actually starts from the Agriculture Extension Support Services and the ministry. For me, actually, there was a time I even told the people that came to visit when I was in my community, say, can you have a small contract that has the TORs to a farmer? When you tell a farmer, I'm going to give you 8 bags of fertilizer, I should tell them, from these 8 bags, I expect you to produce this much. And for you to produce this much, this is what you need to do. You need to do A, B, C, D, and every 2 months, an agriculture support officer is going to visit your small cooperative or your small home to make sure that you are doing the right thing for you to be able to produce this number of bags in this side of the field. So that is what is missing. What is missing is the information, the education to the small scale subsistence farmers. How consistent is it? Sometimes you stay, like for me, I'll stay maybe a month at my small holder farm. And then that month, for you just to get the guys from the Ministry of Agriculture to come to your farm, you have to make 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 follow-ups to convince them to say, can you come? I need your help in this. So one of the things that this government has done, which I am personally praying for that it works out, is to increase the number of agricultural officers that have been employed. If we can increase and have every agricultural officer in every farm or in every ward, actually let's use ward. Wards are easy to manage because we already have a structure and we know where each ward ends. If we can have an agriculture extension officer, either vet or a comprehensive agricultural officer attached to each ward, it's easy for them to go and provide that information from the Ministry of Agriculture and tell them, here is what we are doing. We want to support you to do this. This FISIP is not one way kind of support you are going to receive because there are other people that need to benefit from it. So what we did was we did not communicate to the farmers. Even as I'm telling you today, farmers like the subsistence farmers in my area are just shocked. They'll tell you things like, tinaenda kupeza pasina yatu palibe. So stizi babichitika kaya banati nyunya. There are even some that are thinking that the coordinators in those wards or in those areas are stealing their fertilizer.
Yeah, what about the claim that we have had, Mr. Tukima, over this past year and a half? There have been some rumors or allegations by people who think that those officers have only been giving FISIP loans and supplies to only PF as a UPNG yourself looking in. What's your opinion on that? What really is? I mean, you partially explained it here. The lack of communication, but are those allegations true?
That's an excuse that the Ministry of Agriculture and everyone involved in the supply chain system for FISIP is trying to give to cover up for their own inefficiencies and weaknesses.
Okay.
Because if we have a strong system, actually, sometimes you can even just get an external consultant to be able to manage your lists and make sure that the right people, you get information from the Ministry of Social Welfare Department, you get information from Ministry of Agriculture, even these social security packs that they are giving. That gives you a picture of who truly deserves to be on the FISIP program. So all you need is a serious person to get those documents, those records from all these departments, and then cluster them per ward or per constituency and say, these are the people that we have been supporting. These are the people that truly need to be on this subsidized government program for that support. But today, if you go to any district agriculture support program, they don't have a list that they can verify and say, these are people we have counter-checked with social welfare, we have counter-checked with, even Ministry of Health has records of who are the vulnerable people that they are supporting on those social security programs. So we need to interlink this. And with the advancement in technology now, it's very easy for us to have a platform that links or cleans up people from different departments on one particular portal, and you are able to say this person has been supported by the government, and these are the people that truly deserve to be on this. So our data management system, that is the greatest weakness that we have. Even Ministry of Health, would you believe, even CSO, I'm sure you are aware that even the data that we have now at Central Statistics Office is not data that you can rely on.
See, it's not.
We had new districts.
It's not latest.
New districts. Even the latest one, even right now in my street right now, you can walk from one end. There are like 20 households here. I think they're like maybe 10 households out of the 24 households. So even that data is not as efficient as it can. If you do the most reliable data that you can do is the Ministry of Health headcount population data. That will give you a true picture of the population and who is who. So if we can clean up our data, it's very easy to know who is vulnerable in what ward. And so the weakness we have, and like I was saying, I was trying to answer your question of why the drought, why are people most affected? So there's a context, there's a history to it. So we now knocked out these people from the FISIP because we thought they didn't deserve it, because they've been on it for long. And I agree, yes, we've kept them long enough on the FISIP program, and we need to win them. Even a child, when they breastfeed for 9 months, 1 year, 2 months, they need to be off breastfeeding and start eating porridge or these things. It's a normal cycle of life. But then we did not prepare. Even a child, you start bit by bit. They first make very light porridge, and then you move on to heavier, and ultimately they'll start eating our shima. You don't just wake up one day and tell them nafaka mpilipili kumaziwa suza nyonkapo. No, you don't do it. You see?
Oh my God, that's drastic.
But that's what we did. That's what we did with the now it's called the Comprehensive Farmer Support Program. We just woke up one day and told people, oh, this is November, we are not going to give you the fertilizer. So now we need to normalize that. So even when the drought came now, people already had a deficit. People already needed support. The DMMU told like 2.3 million people this year are going to need support.
Wow,
that
that's
was
a huge
before
number.
the drought.
Just
We
before
said
the
the lean
drought.
season from November to March, we need to support 2.3 million people before the drought was declared. But now Action Aid has told us that no, actually it's not 2.3 million. We need to support 6.8 million people.
Oh my goodness.
With hand-to-mouth support. For them to be able to have a meal a day. Now 6.8 million people need support. And that is a preliminary report released by Action Aid last week. Of which the findings are still ongoing. We may find that we may need to support about half our population, about 10.11 million people. And the reason is because
no, I don't think it can be that bad.
No, I'm just saying. I know it won't be that bad. But then the vulnerability was created.
But
The
even
vulnerability was
6.3
created before
million,
this
that's
drought.
a big number.
So, but anyway, look.
So the vulnerability, was
raised,
created before this drought.
Yeah. So the point you've raised are good, and it's good to hear from somebody that actually is a farmer and somebody that is dealing with these kind of things. Now we also need to look at what the government is currently doing. Okay, so we have at one hand a situation, and we have at one hand the government that's trying to say, look, we have these solutions, and what is the solution? The solution is let's revamp winter maize farming. And of course, we've seen, I don't know if you have noticed already, the president, when he made that declaration, he told the security wings, the ZNS and Zambia National Service, ZAF to go in out and try to resolve these issues. And money has been set aside. Already I've seen they've bought all the equipment, tractors, so many things that they've bought so that they can do their job and be able to produce, the needed maize that will be a deficit. Of course, we have a deficit because of the drought issue. So now it's a good thing, So we're now moving towards a place where we can say, why don't we produce maize all year round? For us, rainy season, that's when we start planting. No. We can start, producing maize all year round. So for small farmers, I think that's the message we start, building into their minds or into the program to say, look, we can start doing this, but how are we going to bring it down to the small farmers, small scale farmers? Everywhere now, like I said, ZNS is building dams everywhere. Water harvesting. That's the main thing that the president has been his passion. He's been talking about it for a long time. And ZNS is started already. So most areas will have, natural built dams where water can be harvested in the rainy season in Africa. Amenshi Isula. When it's not raining, people can go to the dams. It will be released. People can irrigate their fields and still, grow maize and vegetables and everything, and the animals can still feed. So I think, we're moving in the right trajectory. Got issues. I don't know if you guys have heard about the big thing that's happening between ZNS and ZAF.
Chufia. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All that you've raised here, those are what we call long-term plans. How long have we been talking about, water harvesting, winter maize? Manawasa tried it, it seemed to have worked for a while, and now we're introduced to all these. Winter maize harvesting schemes, everything else. Those things have to go down to not just Zambian National Services, but the substance farmers like Mr. Tintima, because that's who feeds the nation after all.
Yeah,
everybody else will grow, and then they'll be shipping their maize out to Congo, where a bag of maize is stretching as far as as high as 1,000 kwacha. So, Bantutima, seeing as you're the person on the ground, all these pronouncements that are coming from the government as subsistence farmers, what are your thoughts on them? And if you compare that, now I'm also going to ask the political angle of it, because we have to do politics at the end of the day. So if you compare what's happening in the UPND now, as far as the farming, produce is concerned, how does that fare with the PF and the previous government, Mr. Ntitimasa?
Well, it's a known fact that the priority for the previous government was not really on agriculture and the people. There was so much emphasis on a few people benefiting, and mostly it was those that were politically connected. I'm saying this because I experienced this firsthand. We had what did they call that program? Empowerment, where they bought those tankers, fuel tankers, and youths were assigned to run those tankers and whatnot. What happened was there was lists of people that were to benefit from each of those tankers. And that's why this government now, when they came on board, they said development has to be inclusive. You can't empower 10, 20 people in a constituency of 1,000 people just because they're the ones shouting the loudest. Therefore, we need to decentralize and make sure that even the guy who makes desks and the guy who makes um, you know, supplies paper or does something at community level is able to benefit. So for me, one of the biggest strengths and one of the greatest differences that this government and the previous government has done is making decentralization a reality. And one way is by making sure that the CDF funds are disbursed and accessible at district level. For all our 116 districts now, you can go there, the council, and whichever number of constituencies is attached to them, those funds are available. And you can go. We formed a cooperative back in my area many
Uh-huh.
years ago, not too many years, but during maybe some 5 years ago, and we applied for all the youth empowerment funds that were advertised, including the musicians empowerment fund. But then, because even when that empowerment fund was created, it's like there were already names on that list. Even people that did not have a proposal as good as ours. We wanted to keep chickens. Actually, this irrigation that the president is talking about now, my
Mm-hmm.
cooperative back home, we had already come up with an idea of how we are going to do an irrigation cooperative scheme, how we are going to grow vegetables and tomatoes. And all we needed was some money to put up a borehole, and also to be able to have a small irrigation pump connected to it so that we can easily, water our vegetables and grow in that vegetables. But we applied. We sent in like 4 different proposals in the past maybe 5 years, and none of those were considered. But now the difference is that now you write to the council, and those are people that know you. They will come to your place within a day, and they will assess and know that you have some facilities where you're able to grow vegetables. And as I'm talking, one of, not my cooperative, but our women had formed a small cooperative, and they have received some funds, some grants. They are now keeping chickens and they're supplying chickens. So you're asking me what the difference was. The difference is that now it's an equal access to opportunities for everyone, and that is the missing link that we've been experiencing in the past few years. But now a
Mm-hmm.
small agricultural cooperative, a women's cooperative, which the local people, the councillor is able to approve and send a letter of recommendation, because he knows the people are the ones benefiting, as opposed to previously where you even find a stranger doing a small road project in your area and you're like, this guy, who is he? How does he know? Does he even understand what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
So now it's the people that understand and are able to relate to the local situation, who are doing the work, and that's where the difference is, I think, between then and now. So coming back to what Mr. Chilvia said,
Mm-hmm.
what the direction that the president has provided, I think, is the way to go. And I can
Okay.
tell you that, and I've always told people this, that if what we have on paper, if what we have in our manifesto, we can only implement a quarter of that. If this government
Mm-hmm.
can just do a quarter of what they've said, because it's a people-centered government, then I can assure you that even if the current president is not the one in that seat, any other person can come. The focus
Mm-hmm.
won't be on that person who is going to be on that top seat. The focus is
Mm-hmm.
on what the agenda that the party is driving, the agenda
Mm-hmm.
that this government is driving. So it's not about individuals. It will no longer be about the individual or the people holding offices. It will be about the heart that this government has, regardless who is at the top. For the next 20 years, people are going to buy into that. So what we need is implement. The president, the government has given us the direction where they want us to go. They are talking irrigation. ZNS is already taking the lead, and like I've said, all we need is now go a step further beyond ZNS and Zambia Correctional Services. How are you going to ensure that that cooperative in my village now
Mm-hmm.
has a water point, now has a borehole where they can connect their pipes and be able to participate in this irrigation we are talking about? So let it not be seen as a big thing. Let it be seen at household level, at community level. How are we going to make sure that this CDF we are talking about, let us now, the need is beyond having a cooperative that is doing sewing and tailoring. No, let's now focus on a cooperative that is going to do maize agri production. Let them provide maize, let them produce maize, let them produce winter maize, let them produce chickens, because food is beyond just that. Let them produce soya. So how are we going to make sure that there's a borehole, there's a water point that is accessible, there's a 200 liters container that or that has been placed, tank that has been placed in a community, and this cooperative beyond ZNS, we have a cooperative of 20, 30 people are able to access that water, and they are able to irrigate, plant the maize. You know, maize grows everywhere now. And if we can have enough maize, and that's what I always say, if we have enough food, then now we can think of other big things. But if we don't have enough food, then our focus should be on food. So if for the next 2 years, for the next 1 year, we can focus on making sure that that subsistence farmer like me, I mean, I have 22 hectares in Sumbeko Mwembeshi area, and I'm only using a 50 by 50 from that. So if today someone came and told me, Mr. Ntitima and your community in that village, we are going to bring even an investor to partner with, we don't mind. Who is going to put up this pump and the water point and put up a 200 liters tank where you can also access water to be able to irrigate and to be able to irrigate your vegetables and what, and then
And not only that, Mr.
supply to
Ntins,
this
what
territory.
about your animals? Your animals needs water to drink.
Exactly, exactly. And the president made a very one of the pronouncements that has been welcomed now. I was actually there just yesterday. Yesterday was Saturday. I was actually that side. Everyone has bought into the idea that we are not going to burn the bushes now because we want our animals to feed on that. And that's why I
Yeah.
told people that this declaration is timely because it has deliverables, it has action points. So the declaration of a disaster now has put benchmarks and things that people should start doing now. We don't have to wait until May when people have to bend their bushes, but the awareness has to start now. And I can confirm that my community, the awareness has already reached even the smallest household. They know that they are not
That is good.
supposed to bend any bushes now. And that is the proactivity that we want. We want more of that. We want more of that. We want more of that message to reach our people so that we can start taking action now before things get out of hand.
That's very true.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Can
know,
I say something?
Yes, Basira, come in.
Yeah, I just want to thank the young man there. Sorry, I'm calling you the young man. I'm a grandmother. Go
It's all
ahead.
good.
Yeah.
I'll be turning 40 next month.
Oh, yeah, you are my
Happy
young grand.
birthday.
You are my young
Thank you.
Happy
grand. So,
birthday. I'll buy you a drink. I'll be in Zambia next month.
yeah, so I just
Please.
want to say something. I just want to say something. Listening to you, this is very good. Listening to you, it makes me to say I'm a proud Zambian, and I'm proud that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema is the president of Zambia. Even if you say, I've heard you say that it won't be an individual, I think it will still be an individual sitting on a presidential seat. Okay? Look, you are talking of PF. It was different. The missing link, which was there, like you see somebody just coming and making a road, and you start questioning who is this. It's because of the individual that we had, Mr. This man called Edgar Chagwalungu. But now we have a person that is got, the people at heart. That's why these things are happening. So we need more people to talk about the achievements of Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Because people continue talking of a liar, a liar, a liar. He's not a liar. There is no way he can implement everything in just 2 years. But this man is working. That's why he needs to go through even in 2026. We need people to be talking about these achievements like you have just done. Thank you very much to bring in this young man. Because we are always talking, oh, blah, blah, blah. But this man has told us what really Mr. Hakainde Hichilema and the government are doing for the people. and he has to go through even 2026 so that these things can continue. Thank you.
No, 2026 is not questionable. That I can tell you.
No, yeah, that's
2026,
true.
there's no debate about it.
Oh yeah, there's
2026 is
no.
like a through ball. Like we are just doing
Mhm.
the elections to fulfill the constitution requirements, but the president will continue beyond 2026. Actually, my
Yeah,
reference was to beyond
I agree
2026.
with you, but I agree with you. But my point is, let's have many people
Yeah,
come on board and explain to the people what the government is
yeah.
doing.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
this is
true.
what we
That's
want.
very true.
Yeah.
Yes, the people need to know. People need to understand these things because there's so many great things that the government is doing right now. I mean, I've been, looking on, the projects that are happening now. Like I said, the ZNS, Zambia Army or Zambia National Service and Zambia Air Force. When people were saying that, why are you using these? These are security wings. Why are you using them? But they don't understand. The president himself declared a national disaster. When a national disaster is declared, it means every security institution has to come in. It's as simple as that. So when you see ZNS, they've been deployed, Vazaf, they've been deployed, and they're being funded to make sure that the people of Zambia tawalilala in Sala. And I can see the progress already. Because you see these ZNS has already farms all over. Okay, they've got farm blocks. So all they needed was money. For years, the farm blocks were designed and since calendar days, but they were not functioning. They were just functioning, but not really functioning. So now the president is saying, okay, fine, let's concentrate on maize. They've been doing wheat and everything else, but they say, look, this time around, let's concentrate on maize and we'll provide a special out of the current budget. We're gonna make sure that we diversify or put money in that sector for you guys so that everybody is safe. So now it has started, and I was very happy to see tractors have been bought. Land is being acquired. More land is, they're talking to the chiefs in different areas, so that they give them more land for them to go in there and farm. So I think this issue of hunger will end I'm telling you, by the 2 years, Yomalanda, yes, I think by the end of 2 years, Ubunga we'll
But
be talking about it will be a different story.
by the way, there's no hunger in Zambia. But and this is
Never
one
give Malanda,
this is one
insala,
misconception.
insala, insala, insala,
No,
insala.
no, no. This is one misconception that we need to clarify.
Mm,
This is one misconception that we need to clarify. As I am speaking to you, there's no hunger in Zambia. Even
mm,
pakantembaka pamwe kunonjikara kuno, there's meal. Hunger is a situation where access to food and access to basic needs is impossible. Okay? As I am speaking to you right now, even my shop next to me, by the way, I live in Chongwe, just down the road.
that's
And
good.
I'm almost right opposite one of the ZNS milling plants and down the road.
Oh,
Even the
that's good.
shop next to me right now, as I am talking to you, there's milling meal costing 230, breakfast 25 kg pack, supplied by ZNS.
So it's not
So
510 kwacha
no,
that those
no, no,
people
no,
on
no, no,
social
no, no.
media are peddling.
Mm,
That price they are giving
mm,
is I would say a third level retailer. I
mm,
come here to Lusaka, I go to the CBD in whatever province I'm in. I
mhm,
buy mealie meal at 230. I get to my small grocery shop, and
mhm,
then a community member who is selling mealie meal 200, 400 kilometers comes and buys from my shop. And they go
mm.
and they put a markup for their transport because
Yeah,
as we
okay.
stand, ZNS is not reaching the furthest places. And so you find this, it's like the way you buy maize. Maize, you have briefcase buyers. Even the minimum right now, you have briefcase buyers. But
Mm,
right now, I am talking to you. You don't need to go to all these chain stores. No, just go to a shop near where there's retail milling meal for ZNX. It's 230. There is no hunger in Zambia. And please quote me right. There is, as I am speaking to you right now, the hunger situation is not what people are telling you. You can walk to a cantemba, you can walk to a shop, you are still going to find the staple food today. Not only in Lusaka, not I was actually in Chiengi not long ago. Minimum is there in the shops in Chiengi. It may be slightly higher because of the cost of moving it 1,800, 1,500 kilometers. That's why it may be a bit expensive, but it's there. So access, availability of the staple food is there 100% in Zambia. Cost is a story for another day. The cost may be higher, but it's because of what is happening. But then access and availability. Do not be cheated that you can't access mini meal anywhere in Zambia, from Shangombo to Chiengi, from Zungura all the way to Solwezi. You are going to walk into any cantemba on the roadside, you are going to find mini meal. Those queues that people are posting, by the way, let me make this clear. The queues that people are seeing in ShopRite, in these shops, those queues is people that are buying mini meal to go and resell. They are not buying mini meal for their personal consumption. No.
No.
So we need to understand this. Those queues you are seeing, it's not people that are buying mini meal for consumption. Not at all. Mini meal for consumption is available everywhere. The queues you are seeing is people that are queuing up to buy the cheaper mini meal to go and resell.
Okay.
And so that's the reason we are having those queues. So as it is, as of today,
Can I say
as
something?
I am speaking to you, there is enough food in Zambia, and you can walk Pakantemba, even just near my neighbor has a Kantemba there. He's Rwandese, and there's a meal meal there. You can walk in, you are going to buy a meal meal at 320. So I was in Stumbeko, I was in Nangoma just last week. The mini meal is there. The cost may be a bit high. It may not be the average 230, it may be 100 quarter higher because of transport and logistics to deliver it there, which is normal. It's a normal business,
Transaction.
markup and all that. But
Uh-huh.
please,
Yeah.
mini meal, staple food, rice, everything is accessible in Zambia anywhere you go in any part of this country.
Brilliant.
That's good to
Oh,
know.
I am so
Thank
I
you.
just that's where you
Thank
wanted to
you.
come in. We'll let you come in.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for you to say what you just said, because as we are not on the ground, you are the people there and you are telling us there is no anger in Zambia. Let these people hear that there is no anger in Zambia. Iwe eti galungu kuyafuna waya mukusonda kapameloku. Pamela has always been there. There are people who can't afford the whole bag. So you dispute. Nakunokwino kwali wama Pamela. Wakalina kama wama Pamela kuno. Bali bi kama kgs
I thought you got to $7. Got two in.
So yeah, so why the entire former president would go to some market and start kukula kolonganya tuma Pamela ati moneni Pamela. Mr. Wale kolonganya ni shiwali president. Mfwiti, you are a witch.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Yeah, so
goodness.
food is there. The price may be a bit high, but don't be cheated that there's no food in Zambia. Even our brothers from Malawi even today they are depending on us. They are coming to buy food from here for them to survive. Even our brothers from Zimbabwe are still coming here to buy food. So food is there on the shelves of our stores. There were these yuca, especially these useless yuca chaps, the one, the way they are making it sound, you know. I don't know which Zambia they are living in, because anywhere you go, there's no shelf of any grocery store where you won't find mini meal. A crisis is when I can walk in a store and not find mini meal on the shelves. Yes, we have a drought. Yes, we have a challenge that is looming, because we may not have the harvest that we needed. And that's the reason why the president has declared it a disaster, so that we can mobilize before it gets to a crisis stage. We can mobilize enough resources. In humanitarian aid, when you declare a drought, you are giving now power even to our partners to be able to mobilize. So you don't have to wait until the crisis stage for you to mobilize. You have to mobilize before the crisis to avert the crisis. That's what disaster management is all about. Disaster management is not about putting out the fire, no. Disaster management is about mobilizing and preventing the crisis from happening. So right now we are not in a crisis. And the reason, and this is the misinterpretation that is there. The reason the president declared a disaster is not because we are already in a crisis. It's because we have a looming disaster. So to prevent that, before we get in a crisis stage where people are dying, you don't have to wait for people to die for you to declare a disaster. No. You do your assessment, you do your technical analysis by our disaster management council, and say, from the projection, we are seeing this may happen. But before it happens, let's mobilize. So declaration of a disaster is simply a certificate or a ticket for you to mobilize before the crisis kicks in. So it's not that we're in a crisis. No. The president and his government, our government, are being proactive. They don't want a single life to be lost. So the declaration of a disaster is to prepare, to mobilize before we get in a crisis. And it's the right thing that has been done. For me personally, I think, I mean, even on my social media handles or platforms, I was one of the first people. First, I told them to say, this is what I expect the president to do. And then I was glad that he went ahead to declare a disaster, because we don't have to wait until one life dies or 1, 2, 3 people die of hunger.
Absolutely,
No.
my brother, you're absolutely correct there. Because, declaring a disaster, it alerts the international community about the need that's moving upon our country. And this is why, you have countries like Britain, the US that are, European countries, and all the other countries that have come on board to help us, contend this hunger. So going forward.
The challenge is there.
Well,
the challenge is there, but the timely action by the president is commendable. I don't think we are going to lose any lives in Zambia. No one is going to die. People may lose weight, but no one is going to die. But tapali wala from Zambia, the president has taken a very, very bold step to declare a disaster so that we can mobilize and we can all be prepared to face what lies ahead. No lives are going to be lost, and we are thankful, I think, for the timely intervention by the state.
And losing weight.
Oh, great! I am so glad that you came on this program. But I think Marcella, I could see her lips moving before I interjected there. You want to say go ahead, Marcella.
No, I was just saying losing weight is good too,
Yeah. That's very true. That's very true.
Oh my goodness. So in my when I was planning for this program, I was hoping we were gonna just have a little 10 minutes, 20 minutes of tackling the drought. But we have learned so much. And I hope, Brother Tintima, this is not the last time we're seeing you over here. I'd like you to tag along every Sunday if you can, and tackle the many topics that we talk about on this podcast. So
for Chongwe is still the same. I remember I used to come there like more than 11 years ago. It was like a small town.
Chongwe is the new Lusaka. I doubt you can even recognize it now, because
immediately you enter Chongwe, there are those shops Fepalia, Chapwa.
Bamdala, now there's Choppies, there's Hungry Lion, and then there's no bush between Lusaka and Chongwe because it's all built up. I'm in Silveres right now, and all the way to Chongwe, you won't see trees, you won't see bushes. It's a Lusaka extension now. Yeah,
oh
like
my
it's
God,
a whole
if I got
even the farms,
Yeah.
the farms here have disappeared now. Nikuma yadi kun.
Come on. I used to come there
Yes, sir.
like 11 to 12 years ago. I was like, damn, well, yeah, and then we don't see anything. And then my shops cluttered on one point, and that's the town.
Mukaluba bachanda mukaluba lusaka mukailuba imwe. Just if you like Bakeke International, you see that blue building, Mukaluba. You think you'll be, let me borrow Lusambo's words. You think you are in Dubai. All right, let me introduce a new entrant here. Hamonga, welcome to our Bantu TV. Where are you joining us from? And tell us who you are. And if you can show us your visual, that would be great.
This is Dr. Chongo from Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh, Texas in the house. Hi, good afternoon, Doc. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Welcome. I hear everything in Texas is big.
That's what they say, and that's what we see.
A lot of big farmers, big ranches, and big billionaires.
Yes. They have houses like they are churches.
Serious, eh?
Yeah.
All right, shall we move on? I mean, here we are. We've spent a good almost hour talking about the drought situation from the eyes of a local subsistence farmer, Robert Tintima out of Chongwe and Stumbepo area there, Ngoma area. I could be wrong, but that's what I got from that. So obviously we'll continue bringing such topics just to educate each other on what's going on in Zambia, on a daily basis every Sunday. All right, shall we move on to my next favorite topic, which is, I hope now I'm going to be running these topics too fast, but Sarah, forgive me. But we're going to talk about the Amos Kanda's sentence of 7 months. To me, I feel it's a slap. Your comment there. Let's start with you, Doc. You just came on here. We talk about the most trending news out of the Madeline.
Well, I haven't been following it up much, and if it was just because of their language towards the commissioners, maybe it doesn't need to be a long one, because that was just abusive language. And anything else, maybe the courts will take another step. But for just abusing the commissioners, maybe it hasn't got to be a very long one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the courts have to send a message. Like if the eco officials are going to come to my house because they think importing Thai women for our Zambian men. Now that's just me being wild out there. Let's just not say that. I'm just saying. But if they're coming to my house, who am I to start abusing or insulting our officers? Because here where we live, I mean where I live, I wouldn't even dream of insulting the man in the blue. But I'll tell him the facts. I'll tell him the law as I know it. If I feel like he's going overboard. So Amos Chanda, I mean, that's somebody, like I said, this Amos now, I always tell my friends now, the Amos Chanda I read about, I see in the media now, is not the same Amos Chanda I used to work with when we were all pushing for paper at the Daily Mail back in the day. Okay, so the Amos Chanda I knew back then was very humble, very respectful. He was a law-abiding citizen. I can't even, so the Amos I see now is just like, I don't know this man from heck no. So That
So when you
7 month
went to State
slap,
House,
I
you
know he's
said,
appealing the sentence. So let's start with I know the doc has put out what his opinion on that is, but like I've always promised, when Amos and when Lusambo especially, when they are found guilty and sentenced to at least 5 years in my eyes for corrupt practice, you see me here coming. I'll come and dance back to the piano. I'll explain what
mm,
Chinande is to you that day. I know you
okay,
think I don't know about it, but I will.
okay, okay, we'll be waiting.
Anyway, let's bring in. I'm sure Tim has something to say on that. What do you think about the latest, convict in Amos Chanda and his wife and his sister-in-law?
I think it's timely. It's timely because there's so much that has been going on, and then there's this impunity. There's this, how do I even put it? Like there's this perception that the people that served in the previous government have, that they can do whatever they want to law enforcers or to anyone, and no one can touch them.
Uh-huh.
And for me, this sets an example, and it's a very, 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 very timely example that has been set by the courts and the law enforcers, that no one is above the law.
Mm-hmm,
So no one is above the law. It
mm-hmm,
doesn't matter. And I love that our current president, that's one of his favorite phrases. He says no one is above the law. If the law visits you, if you break the law, then you're on your own. It doesn't matter who you are.
mm-hmm,
But then there was this culture that was created, and this belief that if you belong to this section of society, if you belong to this political grouping, if you belong to this, then you are untouchable.
mm-hmm,
And that went on even beyond August 2021. There are people
mm-hmm,
that still believe because they served as who and who, then no one is supposed to touch them. So I think this particular conviction sets the tone of what this government is about. This government is not about persons. This government is not about individuals or titles or whoever. It's about laws. It's about the rule of law. And the moment that people, as ordinary people on the streets, start saying that if I break the law, if I misbehave, it doesn't matter who I am, the law will still take
mm-hmm,
its course, then I think that's a good trajectory even for our democracy, because democracy without the rule of law is chaos. So democracy, for it to work, for it to flourish, we need the rule of law. So the two are inseparable. So this particular, conviction and the emphasis, the reiteration that the president made at the last press briefing a few days ago when he addressed Parliament, that we don't have to take 2 years for us to be able to conclude cases of
correct.
whoever was involved or whoever committed crime. That's really the way to go. Why should we take 3-4 years to convict someone and tell them, oh, we've sentenced you to 2 years imprisonment, and your sentence started the day you were arrested, and the day you were arrested is 4 years ago, meaning you sentenced someone to 2 years imprisonment, but the day they were arrested was 4 years ago, and they won't even serve because ideally they've already served. That's the lawlessness that we were subjected to in the previous regimes. So the emphasis by the president that everyone who is facing, everyone who is being charged or who is being tried for any cases, whether guilt or not, let's conclude within 2 months or within 2 weeks. That is, I think, the way to go. And also, law demands that when it takes longer, then that's injustice. They
Yeah,
say
absolutely.
a case delayed is injustice. So this is the way to go, and this sets a tone of what the president has been talking about from the day was sworn in. That the law will take its course. If anyone breaks the law, then they have to face the law, and the courts have to act independently and pass judgment accordingly. And the conviction of our big man, our brother, Mr. Amos Chanda, actually sets that in motion or adds to what has been happening and reiterates what the president has always said. And I think that's the way to go. Justice should be served as soon as possible, and whoever has wronged us has to face the law. And we move on, move to the next chapter.
Yep,
Correct.
absolutely. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right. As here in America, we are still waiting on the cases against the one who will remain nameless, but the biggest billionaire, the hugest, the bigly, Donald Trump. Now, that's a topic for another day. But Sarah, you want to come in and talk on the Amos Chanda's jail sentence with his wife? I'm sure you have a lot to say there.
Is that for me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. This one I don't know exactly if the sentence was for the inside.
Yeah, she's driving.
Yeah, I think she's we've lost her. But you want to come in? I know you're you want to say something.
Of course, Vamos, and I mean it's a good thing. In fact, just like what our previous speaker just said, the way the president has designed it now, he actually said, well, within 6 months, let's deal with cases. Not longer 6 months, and don't arrest somebody without being investigated. Okay, so all these things, the president is very smart. I think whatever they call themselves, they don't realize that this president is very, very, very smart. They are playing checkers, he's playing chess. So it's on a different level. So when he said, 10 hours, okay, by in the afternoon, if it's a bailable offense, mark my word, if it's a bailable offense, you should be out by 14 or 16 hours. If it's not, nishikuya ku court, and then the court will determine. So he wants to be moving these things real quickly, and he doesn't want to congest our prisons. That's what he said. He doesn't want people to be in the prisons unnecessarily and stuff and all that stuff, and all these are the things that they've been actually been complaining about this government. But secret letters, they're writing to different organizations. No, there's breakdown in the rule of law. But the president is saying it out there in public. Even the organizer, even the international community can say that. But why are you writing to us when we can see the policies he's putting in place? It doesn't make sense. So it doesn't really make sense. So even if those letters, they will just fall on deaf ears because he's really doing what is supposed to be done. Rakuingisha, wafuma, is a bailable offense, kufuma in the afternoon. If it's not, mwana kabie mkati. And Vamos Chanda, I'm sorry with him and the family, but look, those guys thought that we were above the law because of the regime that they were under. That was a regime of having so much power. They had Amos Chanda had a lot of power, a lot. So if to him, when the police came to knock on his door, he still had that same, mentality or thinking to say, how dare you, how dare you, so, but the police were like, look, we're here for you. And he couldn't let the police come in. The police had to get, that's why even TV TV. Me, I'm a fan of Law and Order. I watch that like religiously. They will come to your house just as long as there's a search warrant or an arrest warrant. They will just say, boom, 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 police, we're here. Boom. They'll come into your house. They'll break. And if you're a dangerous criminal, post an tear gas. Okay? So that's how it is. That's the system. That's how it is. So the police, the police, they're just following their job. You are Myanmar. You want to start fighting the police because you under Nankane Lungu. You think that you cannot be touched, and then you tell people to ye room tekuingiramu.
No, that only women should go into that room and they should close their eyes and walk backward. What kind of nonsense is that?
If I was the police that time, handcuffs. Chapwa.
No, but you see, that's exactly what if
It's a good
if you
thing it
saw
wasn't
that
the police.
image. Yeah, it was the deck. But if you see that image, you would have said, "Look what HH is doing now." He said he was going to be a law-abiding president. Look at what his policemen are doing, because this is what's happening now. That's why you see people like Harry Kalaba, Emmanuel Mwamba, and this the one I call the man child. Who are they? I don't even know if we have time to talk about him. Chirutiatari, who ran away and is seeking refuge. Yeah,
Tayari.
man child in South Africa, why is just gone? Huh?
Napena.
You know?
Actually, even personally, is one of those people I've never taken serious. Like he's for me, he's just a joker. Like I've never paid attention to him for so many years, and I'm not going to start
For
now.
me, I refuse to, because there are some of I mean, we might not take him seriously, but guess what? There are things that he has done in the past that has been catalyst to certain things or situations that have led to people losing their lives, in the political struggle. I mean, case in point.
It's a
Yeah.
big problem.
Yeah. So
Tayari is a
for
big
me, really, I
problem.
can't ignore that man because of that.
Tayari is a big problem to the Zambian society because he led to the death of Nsaman Saba.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
He's the one that propagated that story. If you remember, he's the one. Also, he propagated that story. HH doesn't own those houses. What's her name? What's her name? Yeah, I think that's the
It's
name.
it now. It's now. Oh, but yeah, you're going too far now.
No, I'm telling you the truth. She's a very conning lady. Like the way she talks, the way she comes out. I was just listening to what she was saying that I'm not your animal. You've got court cases.
Yeah.
It's not about
Yeah.
It's the law. If you've got cases in the, they'll give you that's how it is. That's how it works. They'll put you from my uncle thing. They'll put there.
Yeah, guidance. You can't leave your house 30 yards away. Otherwise,
So how she's got court cases. She thinks she can just move anywhere and go away outside the country at her own. Are you serious? And you call yourself a leader, you don't understand these kind of laws. So, she's got a person of crime.
Yeah, that's too personal, please.
No, look, she's been personal with the president. She's been personal.
Yeah.
Did you hear what she said? Go and listen to what she was saying. Did you listen to her latest rant?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you listen to it, but I just feel like it's happening.
You're not gonna like
It's
it.
a fleet risk. It's a law. If you are a fleetly, you are a risk, and you have the enough capacity and connections to be able to run out of the country, the law enforcers on the entry and exit borders are supposed to monitor you, and you can't just walk in and out of the country, because then you can run away. So it's a simple procedure. So like you have said, Bachirufia, I was also shocked that a whole lot of a person who served in so many portfolios in the government would actually, behave and come out, and it's personal. Like you can tell that's just personal. It's nothing but personal. with the
For
president.
me, all I'm going to say on right now, if there's anything, I'm going to apologize on the behalf of the president. If the president did something to you, please, Maiwa Nawakwi, please, what was the sense? Yeah, please forgive him.
Yeah.
Let's move on. What happened to the politics of decorum? What happened to the politics based on convictions, ideologies, and principles and integrity? What happened to those politics, Banaoki? What really is Catwitch? I don't even know what to say now because you were one of the rising women stars we had in Africa, not just Zambia. When you became the
Yeah.
first, financial minister, you did some great
Well,
things. Of course, of
yes, it's
course,
good
your hand,
things.
of
And
course,
people
your
were
hand
looking at
dipped
her.
in. Yeah, of course, your hand dipped in the Carlington mess, scandal. Now that's another topic for another day. But
Oh,
please, whatever the president did, we apologize profusely. We are on our knees,
you know,
because
Mm.
it's just
you don't need to apologize to her. I don't need to, but she's supposed to apologize to
no, because
to the
I mean,
president.
obviously, there's something. She has a deep
Yeah, but she needs to
rooted,
apologize to him.
um, I mean, look, we know the president will never address now. We know that. The same way the president will never address the tantrums of one Edgar Chagor. We know that, because if I'm the one I'm trying to taunt somebody, or I get a needle, I'm trying to prick somebody into their arm, and that person is not responding, not even giving me a tenth of my attention that I want from them. I'll go crazy. So that's exactly what Van is doing. But please, we offer our apologies on behalf of the president, whatever happens. All right. Now, the dog has been quiet here for a moment.
Can
You
I
want to
say
come in?
something?
Okay, that's Sarah before the dog comes in. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, whatever nani can very activation. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? One day wakapona
Oh, God, I need a drink.
balikwata ekikonko bayitiizi balikwata ekikonko ekikulu pali ba Mr. Hakainde Ichilema nga balelanda. I don't know what goes on in her brain, in her heart. Nga balelanda pali ba Mr. Hakainde Ichilema. It's like something happened somewhere. It's so personal, you could even see. Nani kane ba IDP ba Mr. Hakainde Ichilema baliuka kuli ba Mutinda. Beautiful woman. Imwe child, whatever you want to the late, may his soul rest in peace. That's it. So if you can clarish about Mr. Hakainde Ichilema, Panano Hakainde Ichilema, Antitation Hakainde, Mukafwa Pofena BP, Mukapona Mukafwa. When
No, I'm not. All
But,
right,
but
dog, you
doctor,
want to come in? Ah.
Yeah, we have just digressed. Where are we now? We were
Doc, we always digress.
yeah.
what's your specialty, doc?
I'm an educationist.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Nice,
So
nice,
I'm
nice.
more in leadership.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So it's okay. So it's a doctorate in not in terms of medicine or whatever.
No, it's administrative leadership.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes.
That's good. Yeah, that's very
Right.
important actually.
Right. Right.
Mm.
All right now. Shall we move on?
Of course.
Here. You want
Right.
to you want to introduce our next topic while I do a little bit of some, play some dues down here.
Okay.
Go ahead,
No,
yeah,
okay.
go ahead
Yeah,
and
yeah.
introduce the
I'll
topic.
introduce. I think we'll bring out one of the burning topics that's been running on the internet. This young lady called Solochi. She was being called mad and stuff like that. And it's not a political issue or case, but since the doc is here, I want to tap in and because he's obviously is older than us. We all have family members. Maybe they've been abused or children. We hear here, like where we live here, it's It's all the time. We hear people being abused and molested and stuff like that. So there was that issue, and it involves her and her uncle. And we're not going to mention the uncle. We all know, but just thinking like how could it be handled properly? Like, was she handled properly? Because we saw she was being harassed or something like that. Here, when somebody goes through that kind of trauma, I don't think they will call the police. I think they will just call maybe offer her some therapeutical, like, classes or program that they have. Muzambi tatakuwa befe kwa fati kuyafe kuchayina bakwisa bakwite boom boom bakwikata. So I don't know what people think on that situation or story.
Who wants to start first?
Bachilufia,
Mkwai,
that
Mkwai.
story, I don't know if we are going to handle it correctly, because there is so much behind that story of that little girl. Okay?
Okay, tell us.
So we don't know her behavior and how it started and what she's been talking about. So for me, I think we need to have somebody like amongst ourselves here who knows more about that story, because young children, when they involve themselves in drug, illicit behavior and the drugs, but never, even your own child or whoever can accuse you of something that you haven't done to them. Drugs. Somebody who goes to Kuchibodia Kudia, and he involves themselves in illicit, behavior. They can say anything at any point. That's why they need to detox, go to psychiatrists, therapy to become normal. That's why they can even go extent of what they can even kill. There are some two boys. This is the killed their own mother. It's a serious thing. This thing that you have seen is very serious. Where the family is concerned, the family is divided. The family is crying. The parents are ashamed of the child. They feel for the child also. Whoever introduced that child to that behavior, to the drug thing, if it's true she was taking drugs, that is a satanist. That is the devil. Because some of us, we've got issues like that in our families. Thank you.
Well, I think let's just talk about it generally, not specifically her, but just generally, like when it comes to cases, children being abused, abana bari bachita, taken advantage of, when abana banshirwa, your mother dies, your father dies, and then batampo kusunga, and then in that family they expect you to act like a maid. We see these are stories we obviously have seen. You become the maid in the house, they abuse you and stuff like that, and then in the effect when you grow up, how is it going to be? So maybe let's start with the doctor. Can you give us your insight on this issue? Maybe
Yes. I don't know this young lady, but the little I've gathered from the social media, there are two things that I can talk about concerning her situation. The first one is, in Zambia, we don't seem to have a well-established counseling system. And I know some people have done that. I'm also a psychology major. And when we are doing counseling at UNZA there, we went to some centers where people were calling themselves psychologists, but they were not, according to what we are learning. They didn't have masters in that, but they are called psychologists. So we know there are some centers, but they are not really doing what should be done. The system is not good enough. And that's why we rush to Chainama all the time. And so that system has to be worked at. And this is a wake-up call when people are accused, made people of people who are highly profiled and then it should make us wake up and say, let's establish a better system so that we help people. We are helping the young people who might find themselves in such situations, and we help also the society at large. And we also look at the other aspect um, of this situation is there is a lot of abuse, even in Zambia, just like it is here in the Western world. There's a lot of abuse. And uh, when we were studying, we were taught that there were some research data that showed that a lot of abuse is done between relatives, the significant others. The young girls have been abused by their uncles or something like that. Their older cousins or things like that. Those things are real. And so we just need to know how to handle them. And lastly, is why do some young people go into drugs? uh, Two main points is their experience, their life's experience, like they have been abused. They want to just clear their minds and they end up there. Or they are just following their friends and they end up being, from depending on drugs to abusing. They are now dependents and they abuse the drug, and they eventually they become, if it's alcohol, they become alcoholic or things like that. Or if it's a chemical, they become addicts. And so it's that process of life's experience which leads into their involvement to dependence, abuse, and addiction.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh, wow. That's a very good insight.
Wow, wow. I mean, who is going to top that up? The only thing that I have to say or on that is I'm gonna sing a song. Tomorrow, 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 now not Michael Jackson's.
Okay.
That's so I'll end on that. Um, Brother Titim, I want to come in there, and shed a little bit more light on that. Maybe you have something to say on that.
Yeah, just I think you see, one of the things I think that we, even in my family circles, that we've been discussing is the issue of mental health and depression and how the Zambian system doesn't seem to pay, like it's not a problem. In Zambia right now, mental health, depression, and all these things are not taken as seriously as they are taken elsewhere when you travel some other places.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there's also the issues that I think Doc has alluded to, the the counseling, the psychosocial counseling system,
Mm-hmm.
because mental health are not given the attention that they deserve. You find even not well prepared, not well trained counselors, even in these institutions that offer counseling services or
Mm-hmm.
psychosocial counseling. In the early days of my career, I think I was trained as a psychosocial counselor for like 2 months,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was expected to offer psychosocial counseling to youths or children in the community, and attached to a youth resource center where they walk in and share things
Mm-hmm.
with me. And then one of the things that I learned back then, I think 2006, 2005, was that I wasn't even half prepared for some of the things that these children were sharing with me. But
Mm-hmm.
then that's the system that we have embraced. And that's the system that is happening. When you go to a health facility or a youth resource center or these centers where children or girls or young adults are supposed to access these counseling facilities, yes, the facilities may be there, but then the staff that are attending to these children are not adequately prepared for some of the
Mm-hmm.
issues that lie ahead. And the underlying thing is what I said earlier, that, issues of depression, issues of mental health have not yet been given the attention that they need to be given in Zambia. And a lot of people are going through so much in terms of depression. And sometimes it's just depression or something, but then what do? We get someone, take them to China, "Mafunta, unachipena, napena huyu, napena." But then it's just an issue of drug abuse because someone is trying to run away from something. When they take their drugs, it helps them forget, whatever the underlying factor is. But then we don't give that issue the attention that it deserves. So I think one of the things, yesterday, the day before, when the president addressed the issue of early marriages and child abuse, and that he said that we need to enhance and grow our capacity, the capacity of the Ministry of Health, the capacity of the Ministry of Development and Social Security, to be able to make these services accessible and available to every citizen that requires or needs them. So we need to train more counselors. We need to establish more counseling and psychosocial and advice corners in established clinics and other social security facilities, because the issue of drug abuse, the issue of child abuse, the issue of sexual abuse, these issues are still quite rampant in our country. But then the facilities or the counter measures that have been put in place are not adequate and are not accessible to all. So what we need to do, I think, when I look at the Soloche issue, I felt really bad because I had such an issue in the family where my own cousin, also went that route at some point. And so when I saw her, but she's late now, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So yeah, she's late, and it was because of that. She went beyond depression and started abusing drugs, and but now she's late. So when I saw that
Wow.
Soloti story, it reminded me of my own young cousin and what she was going through. And one of the things that I think we've learned and grown up and discussed at the family is that we need to invest more in these psychosocial youth-friendly facilities where someone who has a problem can walk in and be helped. And one of the biggest things that I don't know what we're gonna do, because it's here to stay, is social media. Social media has just added like salt on the already existing wound, because now when you go on social media and the way she came out on social media, there's so many people that don't understand issues of mental health, issues of depression. And so they just go and laugh and mock her and make fun and all that, without really taking time to understand and put themselves in their shoes and be able to offer constructive criticism to be able to help her out of that. So this is also one thing I think that I don't know how it can be managed, but social media is here, but then we need to put in place mechanisms that are able to counter and offer a solution and offer a comfort zone for people that are going through that, especially the girl child. Especially the girl child. They are the ones that are most abused, and statistics are there, figures are there, and it's a known fact that they are the most vulnerable to go through such. So how do we enhance what is there already? And I'm glad that the president actually ably addressed that. I listened to his address to the youth in Daba, and that's one of the things that he spent quite some time to say, that we need to invest in this and see how best we can enhance and protect the girl child.
Yeah, I think the laws need to be, strengthened. That's what I think. The laws are there, but they're not being followed, or they're not being
Exactly.
used. Because I think, if you look at, if you here in the Western world, there's no way you can be talking to a 15-year-old girl, for example, yeah, if you're above 40 years old.
Yeah.
So there automatically, it's that's a well-known fact. But in Zambia, it's free for all.
Oh,
It's free for all. You find, big people, the kids, the blogger girls, they go there, they park their cars, they're picking up these young girls, they take them kuma lodges and stuff like that. You see? So there need to be certain laws that if somebody does something like that, it should be embedded in our minds. Like, you cannot do that. If you do it, this is the consequence. Okay? So we need to start setting examples now. That's why now, in countries like here in the world, just say, oh, no, what? Oh, no, we cannot do it. You go away, I go my way. That's it. But here in Zambia, wait, no, Shanshani, okay, no, let's go. Shanshan, if you're able to take the girl because she needs money, maybe, and you're odd, you want to take advantage of her, Mamon. So those are the histories. Quite.
Can I also say something? Thank you so much for everybody that has talked about this issue. I know that you say that we should not refer to it, but that's how you brought the topic with what happened to that young lady. But what I want to say is that our culture has really changed so much because we've copied other cultures. That's why we even have the word depression. I don't know what depression is called in Inunda. I don't know what depression is called in Bemba. I don't know what depression is called in Vale or Tonga. I don't know the word depression in my languages. I don't know what it is. But again, I want to say about girl child being abused. Even boys, it's only that we have, taken, a blind eye towards a boy child. That's why you find most of the men, even the way they relate in their marriages, some of them, and even, the way they relate with the job issues, you find most of the time we have, when there's a gathering of people, 3/4 of the people who be widows are women. Because the men have gone. They harbor a lot of injuries in their hearts. So we need a system where, not only talking about a girl child, we need to all these people, boy child, girl child, they are all human beings. We just need to balance this thing. And the other thing is that this culture of ours, we never went into depression. Because you've done something wrong. Our children, no beating, no child abuse, no shani, no ukushina. This is what the Western world believes in, and that's what we want to believe in. That's why we are even talking about depression and mental health and whatever. Already you are saying that, but again you are saying mental health. So this thing we need to say, where did it start from? And it's not always a child who goes to do drugs is abused. No, it's not always. Yes, there are those, who go there because bad people are abused in life. But there are those, you understand what I'm saying? But because they've seen, when the parents tell them, if you feel like go to school, they don't want to listen, If our parents were like king and queen, but our children of today, you the parents, especially, you don't even know how to take a phone, you don't even know how to do the computer too much, they start laughing at you don't know anything. They go do drugs. So we should not say here publicly, just saying those who do drugs, bad abuse. It's not everybody. Sometimes they just want the willpower, which they're supposed to grow with, and tell themselves this is not right for me to go and do drugs. I heard you, Bachanda, saying that those children, they're above 16. We have the law in Zambia which says if you do something to somebody who is under 16, that is sexual abuse. It's a crime. Already the law is there. So
Yeah, but it's not being implemented. Look at
Exactly. That's what
it's
he's trying
not
to
being
say.
implemented. Look at early child marriages. Even if you go my village, if you go to my villages, kids are being married off just for a cow. Okay, if a child is 14 years old, ngakwali vanebo wakwatako eng'ombe vavapera fe ng'ombe mwana vamupera, which is bad.
That's
So we're
what I'm
saying we
saying.
need to
Yeah.
implement those laws so that it's embedded in our people's minds. Vala kukaka, because people tavava kaka.
Mwanawasa Wachanda, Mwanawasa has tried. You know, this is why we are saying that it all comes up to the one that is on the pampando. You understand? For the past 7 years, this person was not doing the right thing. Mamonaka. That's why even that law of when you do abuse with the sexual abuse to a child who is below 16, it was not there because vale fichitana bena ababene aba ba PF na bakwate mpia ba mkula send ama girls white. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yes.
So it depends also who is pampando, and we are happy that our president is taking, keen interest in these matters.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Right. Yeah, I think that's about all the time. I know we missed last weekend because some of us were doing one. So, I mean, Bachan, it's been 2.5 hours. Really?
Yeah,
Are we
of
going to
course, of
break
course,
our record?
of course.
Are we going to break our record?
I don't know.
You
People want to
know,
talk about doctor and everybody else. I
uh,
don't know.
I think we should wrap it up. We come back next week, but before
Next
we
week.
wrap it up,
Yeah.
yeah, we come back next week, Sunday, sometime, someplace. Well,
Of course.
as we highlight more, breaking news. So
My
let's
brother,
just keep it.
how do you pronounce your name? Tiba- uh,
But first, before you say that, my brother, let me
What's
just
your name?
say
How do you pronounce it?
that before my brother comes in, let me just say I'd
Yes.
like to absolutely appreciate this Sunday my people from my father's village, Shikatende, for coming through. Now, my brother, go ahead.
Okay, so full names are Robert Kavansen Titima.
Uh-huh.
There's even a
Kavansen
little at the
Titima.
end. Ntitima, yes.
Kavansen Titima.
Robert Kavansen Titima. From Chief Litera's Palace, actually a prince who never go on the throne because I'm born from a man and we are matrilineal. So, so I'm from Chief Litera's Palace in Chivombo. I'm Lenje.
Eoleta.
Uh,
Valenji.
Balenje Watanji.
Valenje Vatanshi, wow.
Ah,
Amo
Yeah.
Gambia,
Agatebe Kizua
indonjiswa.
Lenji.
Eh?
So it's
Agatebe
Robert
Kizua Lenji.
Kavansen Titima. You can even put a little at the end.
There you have it.
Paliteta pa
Thank you.
Mfumagala Paliteta. Paliteta village.
Mkwai.
I've got a lot of I've got family there. I've got friends there. Oh
No,
man,
I'm from the palace actually.
that's good. That's
All
good.
right now.
Eh?
All
Thank
right.
you.
So that
Thank you.
brings us to the soccer rant.
Yeah.
I did
Thank
go
you so
earlier.
much.
I was just telling. I was just. Chufi, I was just saying. I walked into the house 3 minutes because I was watching. I mean, I just went there just to make sure that somebody breaks Rashford's legs or Nunes, whoever, because we are meeting those boys in 2 weeks.
Co-
But
Absolutely,
they're not a
no.
threat. They're not a threat. They are
Uh,
not a threat.
You never
Yeah.
know. You never know. I mean, I love my team, but you never know. Which,
Manchester United was a threat some years back. Not now.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Not now. Not. I'm telling you the truth.
Yes.
Like I've
No,
got
you see,
all my friends are Manchester
have you
United fans.
noticed, Betty
All of
Matumbe,
them.
have you noticed why all of our
Yeah?
Arsenal fans on this podcast ran away this week? Have you seen the great thinker here? Have you
Eh,
seen Bakalaba? Bakalaba?
Kalapa.
Have you seen Rakonde? They're
Yeah,
all not here.
but,
They're nursing serious hangovers. Huh?
no, I told you I didn't watch the game, but I watched all of
No,
it.
no. When I left, it was 2-2. I mean, they had gone into 30 minutes, but I
Yeah.
gathered it was 3-3. So I guess they went into penalties. So I don't know who was one after that.
Oh, okay.
So continue talking. I'll find out soon enough.
Yeah,
Right
Manchester
no.
has
now.
won.
Yeah, no.
Manchester
But
has
last time,
won.
Oh my God, we are not going to sleep. They won 4-3. We are not going to
Yes,
the whole week. I
no,
mean,
no,
until the
Mwina,
next game. No, no,
there
we
were no
nah.
penalties.
Mwina Kolelo.
Come
Congratulations,
on.
Mwina Kolelo.
Who?
Yeah, but Manchester.
Who are you congratulating?
Well, Manchester bawina Kolelo. Kata bawina win. So what?
Okay, move baby. Actually, we
Bawina
don't want
win.
to hear stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it's a rare thing. Been
Yeah.
rare
So
for them for
thank you
winning.
so much. Thank you so much for inviting me tonight.
Good.
I didn't know that there were such progressive. By the way, I'm part of the FOU. It's called Friends of the President or Friends of the UPND. I've been part of that for like nice 8 years now.
Good.
And
Good.
I didn't know that there was such platforms and
Oh, yeah.
that people can talk and share ideas and discuss what is happening. So
That's
it's been
why I
great
brought
for
you
me.
here, my brother, because I've been
I'm,
watching on
I'm,
Facebook. Because sometimes we
I'm
take a
privileged.
look. I was like,
Yeah,
we take
that's
a
where
look.
I share everything. So it's
Yeah.
been great. Thank you so
Mm.
much. I'm truly humbled, and I look forward next time if there is a slot or anything. Please feel free. I'll be happy to join you
Well,
and
no,
be
just
part of the
come
cast.
on, my brother. Just come on. Just be part of the couch from Zambia. Give us the, we do this every Sundays. So
Thank
just
you.
come on. Just be part of the family culture. What do they call it?
Thank you.
A carpet,
Yeah.
couch.
Yeah, so
Thank
it's
you so
Bantu.
much.
Yeah.
Bantu. That's why we call it Bantu TV. Three
Thank
Bantu.
you.
Abantu say.
Yeah, so
Thank
just
you.
come
Bantu
in and
more,
of course
you know.
I'll share the links when we come on and just you click on the link, and just share your views because that's what we do because we are here to build, and not to break. We're here to
Yeah.
build everybody and share
Thank you.
ideas and you know.
No,
So that
it's been
job,
great.
yeah, go
I had
ahead, go
fun.
ahead.
It was very refreshing. It was extremely refreshing just hearing all the views and I'm grateful. Thank you so much.
No, we are more grateful to you saying yes and actually coming on and
Thank
shared,
you.
your views on everything else that we've talked about today. So, on that note, shall we go ahead and say our final goodbyes? Let me start with the doc, and then let Sarah, I know she has something to say over there, and then my brother Titima here, and of course, my co host, my one and only co host, Raj Lufia. So before we close, I'll say 30 seconds each. Your final words today.
Yeah. But Doc, you can go ahead, but Doc.
Okay. Just have a blessed week, all of you, at your workplaces and whatever you're doing. Thank you. Bye.
Great. Lady Sarah, she's driving. All right, we move on. My brother Titima, please come in. Your final words for
Thank you.
tonight.
Just to say thank you so much and please be blessed and yeah, may you be blessed and blessed with your families and everybody. It's been great and I'm thankful. Thank you.
Great. That's Lufia.
Yeah, well,
Now,
thank you
don't
very
take
much
us on
for
a
everybody.
tandem, Batulufia. Don't take us on a tandem.
And
Go
No, no, no,
ahead.
no. I'm
Mr.
just gonna say two
Sema,
things. I'm
all the
just gonna say
best,
two things. That's it.
and we look
I'm just
forward
gonna
to his
say
leadership. Thank you.
Oh, there is Lady Sarah. She finally came on. Okay, great. Right, Lufia.
yeah. I'm just gonna say one thing. Yeah, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Hopefully you join us next week. Ciao.
That was the shortest ever on
I think
this
we said all
podcast.
we can today, so
It's
that's
the
it.
shortest. All right. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Until next week, keep the faith.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.